Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Radhe Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Gaura Pimanandi. Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Pri Radga Sadhu Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charan Arvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Nanta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Niskandi Biti Founder Charya's Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namasarya Srila Hridas Thakur Ki Samava Tabakta Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jani Tagore Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyanandana Sarakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jita Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim sarasatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, it becomes established as an irrevocable factor. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamhitam Uttamaśloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva, It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Mukam Karoti Vasanam Vatangum Langayate Girim Yatkripa Tamam Bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yatkripa Tamam Bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Om Asradhyay Namaha Om Asradhyay Namaha Om Asradhyay Namaha Hare Krishna. When our Goshala will be here, we'll have more attendance in Bhagavatam class. We are continuing first canto, chapter 7, close to the end of this chapter, which is entitled The Son of Drona Punished. Let's see here. Yes. So text 55. Sutta Uvacha Arjuna Sahasagnaya Harer Hardham Athasina Manim Jahara Murdhanyam Dvijasya Saha Murdhajam Sutta Uvacha Arjuna Sahasagnaya Harer Hardam Athasina Manim Jahara Murdhanyam Dvijasya Sahamurdhajam Sutta Uvacha Arjuna Sahasagnaya Harer Hardam Athasina Manim Jahara Murdhanyam Vijasya Sahamurdhajam Sutta Uvacha Arjuna Sahasagnaya Harer Hardam Athasina Manim Jahara Murdhanyam Dvijasya Sahamurdhajam Suta Uvacha Arjuna Sahasajnaya Harer Hardham Mathasina Manim Jahara Murdhanyam Dvijasya Sahamurdajam Suta Uvacha Arjuna Sahasajnaya Harer Hardham Mathasina Manim Jahara Murdhanyam Dvijasya Sahamurdajam Sutta Sutta Goswami Uvacha said Arjuna Sahasa just at that time Agnaya knowing it Harehe of the Lord Hardam motive Atha thus Asina by the sword Manim the jewel Jahara separated Murdhanyam on the head Dvijasya of the twice born Saha with Murdajam hairs. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sridham Prabhupada Ki. Just then, Arjuna could understand the motive of the Lord by his equivocal orders, and thus with his sword he severed both hair and jewel from the head of Ashwatthama. Kind of repeat after me. Just then, Arjuna could understand the motive of the Lord by his equivocal orders. And thus with his sword, he severed both hair and jewel from the head of Ashwatthama. Purport. Contradictory orders of different persons are impossible to carry out. Therefore, a compromise was selected by Arjuna by his sharp intelligence, and he separated the jewel from the head of Ashwatthama. This was as good as cutting off his head, and yet his life was saved for all practical purposes. Here, Ashwatthama is indicated as twice born. Certainly, he was twice born, but he fell down from his position, and therefore he was properly punished. Translation again. Just then, Arjuna could understand the motive of the Lord by his equivocal orders, and thus, with his sword, he severed both hair and jewel from the head of Ashwatthama. So actually, we will read the other 3 verses, which actually 2 of them don't have any purport, and they are connected with this as well, and give further insight in what has taken place. So text 56, Vimuchya Rasana Padhamma Vimuchya rasana baddham
विमुच्य रचनाबद्धं
bala hatya hata prabham
बालहत्ताहतप्रभं
tejasa manina hinam
तेजसमणिनाहिनं
sibiran nirayapayat.
शिबिरन्निरमापयत्.
Translation purport: He, Ashvatthama, had already lost his bodily luster due to infanticide. And now, okay, and now, moreover, having lost the jewel from his head, he lost even more strength. Thus, he was unbound and driven out of the camp. Purport: Thus, being insulted, the humiliated Ashvatthama was simultaneously killed and not killed by the intelligence of Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Text 57. Vapanam dravid nadanam
वपनं द्रविदानं
stanam niryapanam tatha.
धनं निर्यापनं तथा
Esha hi brahma bandhunam
एष हि ब्रह्मबन्धूनां
vadho nanyo stidai.
बाधो नन्नोऽस्तिता दैहिकः.
Yes. Cutting the hair from the head, depriving him of his wealth, and driving him from his residence are the prescribed punishments for the relative of a Brahmana. There is no injunction for killing the body. And the last verse, the Putra Sota Tura Sarve
पुत्राशोकातुरा सर्वे
Pandava Saha Krishnaya
पाण्डवाः सह कृष्णया
Swanam Mritanam Yat Krityam
दानं मितानम् अत्युत्तमम्
Chakrura Nirharanadikam.
चक्रुर्निर्हरणादिकम्.
Thereafter, the sons of Pandu and Draupadi, overwhelmed with grief, performed the proper rituals for the dead bodies of their relatives. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, chapter 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled "The Son of Drona Punished." So the end of the chapter means the end of a pastime, this particular pastime. Mm. And the the action of Arjuna is, uh, as explained here, actually uh, serving several purposes, two main purposes. One is, on the one hand, uh, keeping or following the injunction that brahmanas should not be killed, and at the same time, uh, even if a brahmana performs um, uh, or when someone who is a brahmana or qualified as a brahmana performs activities which are against, then he should not be given the respect of a brahmana. Um, it's interesting how, why this light is on here, this light. In selecting, in deciding who is a qualified brahmana and who is not a qualified brahmana, we were discussing how uh, that is one of the important very important activities or responsibilities in a village, in a community. Those who are elders, elder brahmanas in particular, they are meant to be the wisest uh, persons in the community. They are meant to determine the varna of individuals. When Vedic culture uh, is established, or we could say, in order to establish and to maintain Vedic culture, this is an important activity uh, on the part of brahmanas to. So it mentions in that it's in the Tajana Sojana Toshani of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that normally uh, one's varna is determined generally according to one's birth, but it's not uh, always, especially in Kali Yuga, it's always not always like that. So um, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains how if the characters of a young boy, even though, for example, he's born in a Vaishya family or that of a Brahmana, then he will be promoted to the stature of a Brahmana. But the opposite is also there. If one is born in a Brahmana family, but he's not showing rather, not showing signs of a Brahmana, then uh, the local Brahmanas in that community um will classify him according to his actual nature. So this is um, uh, in the larger community. Uh, this is something important because uh, every individual within society has to take on some particular responsibility, and 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 individuals within that community are meant to interact uh, based on the qualities of uh, of various of various individuals. Mm. This word, what is it? Infanticide. Infanticide. You know what is infanticide? Infanticide is like there's homicide. Homicide is killing a human being, uh, sometimes either by accident or intentionally. Well, intentionally it becomes more murder. Homicide. So infant means child. So it refers to Ashwatthama by having committed this horrible um, and sinful act of killing innocent um children. He lost his, here it mentions his bodily uh, luster. And when Arjuna mm, removed the jewel that he was wearing um, from his head, then it mentions here that he lost even more of his strength. Mm. So there is a direct link or connection with, let's say, the the appearance of the body, the health of the body, also with our consciousness. Uh, just like in the Vedic culture, those who are brahmacharis, those who are actually practicing tapasya, uh, then uh, it's an unknown um, culture in modern day society, but they will uh, they will have one will have more what is called vitality. This becomes especially important, and one can observe this especially in old age. Um, in other words, uh, Vedic culture, which is emphasizing the importance of following dharma, um, when one actually follows dharma, there are many um, signs and advantages that are there. Uh, just like we are, those who are dharmic are vegetarian. Being vegetarian generally is more conducive for better health. So, in other words, by following the principles of dharma, um, we benefit both materially as well as spiritually. Um, we those who are mm, uh, more dharmic are more alert, generally more healthy as well, and so this particular verse is showing how when we go against the principles of dharma, uh, then the symptoms uh, are shown in our bodily features as well. Bodily features means generally if somebody has not been following the principles that are outlined in the Shastra, um, if one has not been regulated in one's lifestyle, then in old age, generally there will be um, more, um, what is it, more difficulties. Uh, one will suffer from, what is that word? Um, the adjective is senile. What is meaning senile? People forget. Yeah, senile. Senile means we see this a lot in modern day um, Western countries. In old age, um, people they they start to forget. They even cannot relate to their own family members. It's uh, the opposite is there. For example, we see in a personality like Srila Prabhupada, who even though uh, elderly and even though physically uh, in very, uh, let's say, in poor health, Prabhupada had major health issues in the last, uh, well, for many years, but especially in the last year. But still, his consciousness remained intact. His consciousness remained um, pure. Mm. So this is, yeah, being pointed out here. Um, and the other uh, the other instruction which is being given here, which is in text 57. The prescribed punishments of a relative of a Brahmana: cutting the hair from the head, depriving him of his wealth, and driving him from his residence, which is what happened to Aswatthama. Of course, maybe we cannot do that. Well, there are so few Brahmanas, and so we probably are not having to face this kind of situation very much. So this end of this chapter brings this particular pastime to a close. Means that it's the end of the Battle of Kurukshetra, and it's ending with this very tragic event of the killing of the sons of Draupadi, and throughout, the various texts that we have been reading in this chapter, we've seen especially how there are different lessons to be learned from these pastimes, and we've already discussed. Hare Krishna. It's okay now. The sun is above. Yeah. So, anyone have some thoughts on this?
Are you interested? Do you understand? Alright, I have something I feel missing because we know that persons still persons and they need some protection. So here one person did a very serious, sinful action, and he will get the reaction. But how he's protected? So why not he have another chance for living this time not as a Brahmana but as someone else part of the society, trained for that situation, have association who is considering he would be a nice person in the future. And also, why Kripacharya is not mentioned here, who did the same simple action, and then we see that he is not punished. Kripacharya took part of this simple action, and then he just remained in his position. Just looks like there's no solution.
So, as Vaishnavas, we should be sympathetic even for those who are committing.
Not just practically sympathetic, means that that's the protection. You have to protect the person to feel that I am just thrown out like a rubbish. Yeah, I'm not for that, but still, I am human being in the body of human being, so I have to be engaged in some way. And also his mother, what his mother will do if he's just thrown out? There's no protection for the mother also.
Mm.
So if his life protected because of he have to protect his mother, then if he's not nothing to do, he have no engagement, he have no place to live, how he can protect his.
That we don't know. Do you know that he doesn't have any place to live?
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
Do
he
you
was
know?
thrown out.
Have you read what happened after that?
Yeah, from the Bhagavatam.
What have you read?
He just become very angry,
Of course,
and then he wanted to kill another person, and then he was thrown out for wandering millions of years. He was thrown out
from the country,
or not from the country, from the
community,
from the place where people are living. So he have to go to the forest.
right? um, so I've not. That's in the later canto in the Bhagavatam.
The Bhagavatam just says that the next, but in other Puranas you
Yeah.
can see.
So I've not read details of specifically what happened to Aswatthama after, but sometimes if uh, if persons obviously um, his um, as the son is meant to be protecting the mother, but it's not very often a son, either due to illness or due to not being qualified, may not be able to protect the mother. Then in the Vedic culture, other persons, I mean, the immediate responsibility is meant to be the sons, immediate sons, or other relatives. And Vedic culture is, because it gives so much emphasis on the importance of protecting women, as we know. So if he was not there to protect, then we may not, I mean, it may not have been explained directly, but we can rightfully assume that there was some arrangement for his mother to be protected. Sometimes individuals are not corrigible, cannot be, uh, uh, their mentality cannot be changed, and to protect actually the rest of the society, they have to be removed
Yeah.
physically, isn't it? Um, so of course, I mean, it's part of the principles of dharma to give uh, assistance, or to provide for the needs of all individuals, especially human beings. Uh, but sometimes it's like some people are put in prison, isn't it? I don't know, maybe in those days, well, they must have had prisons also. But sometimes the only solution was to drive somebody out of the, for example, simple, I think, example which we can relate to more easily. We know that in our temples, for example, ISKCON temples, if one doesn't follow the rules and regulations or the principles, well, he's not allowed to stay in the temple, isn't it? So in a similar way, like same thing in the village also. Village was very, let's say, Vedic village was governed by dharmic principles, and if people were not able to respect, and especially if they were committing, you know, offending others, then they would not be allowed to live in, in that particular village. And if someone is really notorious, then he sometimes may not be able to live in that country and may be sent to the forest like that. They're probably, I mean, rare cases, but for the for the good and the protection of the general population, sometimes we have to physically, I mean, even today we see this, physically remove someone from a particular environment. And of course, basic, even people who are um, committing very, uh, let's say, great criminal act, like people who murder or do all kinds of such criminal activities. Even though they are put into prison, every day they're given food. I mean, they're giving the basic, yeah. Even nowadays, I think in prisons they have all kinds of facilities. So I'm not familiar with the details of what happened to Ashwatthama, but I mean, after this, this is basically in the context of what has taken place. It's simply showing how uh, Ashwatthama, because of having committed such a very serious act, had to be punished, and part of that punishment is that he was sent away. Um, then after that, I don't really know what happened, but obviously, in the Vedic culture, uh, there are provisions for at least providing to the basic needs or necessities of individuals. Mm. But what is being highlighted is even someone in such an exalted position as Ashwatthama, being the son of a Brahmana, uh, because of having gone against the principle of Dharma, had to be dealt with quite severely. His uh, act of killing the sons of Draupadi was a very serious act, and so
And
he
then
had.
he wanted to destroy the world. He
Well, yeah, right,
just wanted to destroy the world. By the way, not
right,
just five princes, not just other Kshatriyas who was in their camp, but
right. Yeah, well, I mean,
it was
um,
crazy.
yeah,
Looks like crazy.
right.
Ooh. And he's crazy. And attack Maharaj. You have to protect me.
Yeah, we're being swamped by other living
Maybe some
entities.
mystical.
Yeah, right. Right.
I heard that there is some
Chalk.
chemicals.
Okay,
Something.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we do that for ants, right?
Yeah, but
It
maybe
works.
they also don't like who is
Right.
try to kill me by my feet. Yeah, we are putting them aside, but then they come back and they do the same.
And they are very determined.
Yeah.
Well,
Like Ashwattham.
huh?
Like Ashwattham. Like Ashwattham.
Oh, like,
He
yeah.
was very determined to do something.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Maybe he just wanted to be part of the history.
Um, well, he definitely made history.
Yeah.
He definitely made history. But yeah. Um,
So a little bit missing that part that to give new life. What is the chance for new life?
well, Prabhupada, we have nice examples in Srila Prabhupada's dealings with some of his disciples, as we know, who actually deviated sometimes quite badly or seriously. And for example, yeah, some of his sannyasis fell down, and Prabhupada, it's even there in the purports of the Bhagavatam that then okay, if you cannot function in this way, then you adopt this way, of course. Yeah, correct. So, I mean, we know how being in the material world and being at any time um, under the influence of the modes of material nature, just like that's in the chapter on the modes of material nature, it describes how there's that constant competition between the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, and sometimes the mode of goodness prevails, but sometimes the mode of goodness is defeated by the mode of passion, or even defeated by the mode of ignorance. And when one is heavily under the influence of the mode of passion and ignorance, then he does things that are not, he does crazy things, and but regardless of one's position, one can be brought back, and of course, um, we, especially in our Krishna consciousness movement, which is promoting the whole mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya has especially come for those who are the most deviated from dharma. Uh, so yeah, I think every situation needs to be um, dealt with according to the particular. Uh, this was a very unique kind of situation with the Pandavas, Draupadi, um, and Ashwatthama. Um, but somehow, yeah, as one of the texts we are reading, that Krishna um, gave Arjuna actually the good intelligence, and that's something that is also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, that when because Arjuna was a fully surrendered soul, so the more we are surrendered actually to Krishna and trying to serve him, then he gives the good intelligence how to deal with sometimes very difficult situations. And we will, from tomorrow, be entering a new lila, which is um, highlighting the very uh, exalted prayers of Queen Kunti. So, yeah, the next chapter is entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit Saved. Yeah, so that's this chapter had, yeah. This is another chapter, chapter 8, which has similar type of, chapter we just finished had 58 slokas, and the next one has 52. Yeah. Okay. Um, we can close on this. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Niki.
Yeah.
Jai Sri Prabhupada Ki. Gaur Apimanandi.